As many of you know, I'm a bit of a closet book nerd. I love reading non-fiction books, and one of my absolute all-time favourites is this little number, Laugh and Learn by Doni Tamblyn. And I am lucky enough to be here with Doni today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Doni Tamblyn.
Hey! I'm so excited to be me.
I'm so excited that you are. You too. I'm very excited to be able to interview you. Thank you very much for making the time. But look, Doni, just wanted to start by saying I loved your book. And one of the reasons why I loved your book is because it was a topic that is near and dear to my heart. A lot of people on presentation skills courses, and certainly in the corporate world, they say, Rod, we can't be funny for two reasons.
Yeah.
Reason one is because I'm not a joke teller. Reason two, if they do like to secretly think that they're a bit of a joke teller, then they say, I offend people. We live in a politically correct world. But you dealt with those admirably in the book.
Because there are really simple answers to those two. Number one, people tend to think that the only way you can express a sense of humor is through telling jokes. And of course that's not true. Look at children. They're playing around with each other. They're laughing their heads off. Are they telling each other jokes? We first started using our sense of humor in play and creatively having fun with whatever's around us, really. And number two is the fear that they'll offend somebody. The answer to that is just as simple too. And we can go into it, but the answer very simply is avoid negative humor. Avoid derogatory humor, put down humor. If you don't go negative on people, you can't inadvertently annoy some group within our society that you may not have even known existed, and you somehow offended them. You know, just avoid negative humor and you can't go wrong.
And so this comes down to some of the principles that you identified as being the difference between, like, say stand-up comedy and improvisation. And you were saying that improvisation is really the way to increase levels of humour.
Yes, right. I mean, I did stand-up comedy and then I did improv, and I found that the types of things you needed to do for stand-up comedy to be good at it were many times diametrically opposed to what you do in improv to be good at that. And I also saw that you got a very different response from the audience too. In stand-up comedy you have a thing called heckling. Need I say more? The audience wants to take pokes at you and be funnier than you. In improv, you do not have heckling. You've got laughter in both, but only heckling in one. In a social situation or a professional situation, do you want to be heckled or do you want people to be on your side? In stand-up comedy, you're supposed to try to be funny. You know, you're supposed to get a laugh every 12 seconds, I think it is. Improv, they're adamant about this. Don't try to be funny. Try to just have fun and play with the moment. That's it. In fact, they say, oftentimes you should say the most obvious thing. If somebody says, got a dime, you say, yeah, here's a dime. You don't get real clever about, no, but I've got an elephant. You know, you give them the dime, you know. So that's number one. Don't try to be funny, just try to have some fun with things. Number two, with stand-up comedy and improv, is focus inward on yourself. That's what comedians do. It's all about me. I'm up there knocking everybody dead. They're quiet, they listen, I be funny. They consume the humor that I produce. And otherwise it's like focus outward. And in improv, that's what we do. We focus on other people, and they say something, and we make it work.
Because this is one of the key differences in presentation skills. A poor presenter tends to be internally focused, worried about themselves. We call it self-conscious.
That's right.
Whereas good presenters are audience conscious. They're conscious of what's happening out there. So that rings very true. Same in the corporate world. You know, at work, if we're concerned about ourselves, we tend to become too serious. We're terrible to work with. Whereas if we're happy to play and we're more conscious of the people around us.
Yeah, and really listen to their ideas. If we're happy to really listen to their ideas and to consider maybe this idea is a good one. You know, make them look good, as we say on the stage. Make them look good.
The other thing I loved about the book as well, amongst many, was how it really pointed out how important humour is, not just in presentations, but also at work, generally speaking. And there were some solid reasons there as to why humour is so important. What were they?
Well, for one thing, humor brings people together. If you have two people that are feeling actually antagonistic toward each other, and if you've ever been in that situation and suddenly something just serendipitously made you laugh, you notice that your antagonism can sort of melt away.
Instantly change.
It's amazing what it does. And humor also makes the brain work better. Positivity. Positivity makes the brain work better. Again, replicated studies. We find people think better, they remember better, they do much better on creative thinking tests, cognitive thinking tests.
Because they're not worried about safety, security, stress, these sorts of things.
Correct. And then stress is something else that the brain shuts down under extreme stress. And so then you've got people thinking very, very poorly.
Also stuff in there that you mentioned about, you know, we're not just logical beings, we are logical and emotional beings. And so, you know, learning needs to be both logical and emotional.
It absolutely does, because our thinking is logical and emotional. And in fact, it's been said, the stronger the emotion, the better the learning. Many of our decisions are made very much by using our emotions, getting a gut hunch about something. We're all operating on the basis of insufficient data. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going with our gut, whether we know it or not.
Well, look, it's been an absolute privilege to meet and talk with you, Doni, and I think I can say that if more people in the corporate world took on some of the principles around improvisation, accepting the offer, working with others, being more audience conscious, the corporate world would be a very different place. So once again, thank you very much, Doni.
Thank you.